whatever you do in life, if you achieve excellence and quality, the outcomes of everything else, including financial, will follow. Don't make the choices between shortcut growth versus sustainable careers, and character is what will get you there. Your biggest enemy is whatever you do in life, keep a focus on quality and excellence. Because if you achieve excellence and quality, the outcomes of everything else, including financial, will follow. Do not chase money, chase excellence. Financial results will be an outcome or a deep satisfaction which you will enjoy and reach a very, very significant position in life. Across your journey, friends, you will find many an opportunity to do what is effectively a shortcut. But you need to ask yourself and ask within you, is it right or is it wrong? And if you get an answer within you that it is wrong, have the character to stand up and say, I will not do it. And I can tell you, it has helped me commercially. Many points of time in my career, I've had a situation where I had to take a call between taking a decision, yes or no. And whenever I've taken a decision on the basis of what I was told by myself to me, that's what held me in very good stead. And therefore, stand up, be counted, and value your character, because that will really tell you what to do and what not to do. You have your parents here in this, and they have given you values. Stand up to that at the workplace, because you will always find somebody at the workplace telling you, do it differently if you want to grow faster. Don't make the choices between shortcut growth versus sustainable careers, and character is what will get you there. When something is too good to be true, it is. And inevitably, we have seen people getting very excited about something which is, oh, I never expected this to be so good to be true. Remember, there is always a sting in the tail, and that sting in the tail doesn't show itself immediately. It shows itself after a point of time. And I'll again back it with a specific example, and we have many examples in our life. It goes back to 2001, some of you may remember the famous stock market bubble then, the tech bubble, which led to a significant downfall thereafter, which was popularly known as the Ketan Parekh bubble. And in those days, friends, in our stockbroking business, there was a 7-day settlement system. So we got a client come to us and say that, listen, we will give you immediate delivery of stock. You can sell it on the market on our behalf, and you will get money after a week from the exchanges. We need money upfront, and for that, we are ready to pay you a 1% upfront fee for 7 days. Flat. You can calculate what the IRRs are, and the proposal came to our head of the business, and friends, it's important, it didn't come to me. It came to my head of the business, who said, we think there are risks there. It's too good to be true. We will not do it. And a couple of 3 months later, a global firm which did that transaction was banned from the capital markets for a period of 3 years because the underlying transaction was a manipulation, because the buyer on the other side was effectively the same party. And thank God, we would have been in deep trouble if we went ahead and did that transaction. Therefore, the first lesson in our firm is, when something is too good to be true, friends, it is. And watch it carefully, go into detail, and keep on asking the question, what can go wrong? And normally, in times of exuberance, people do get carried away, when easy money is on the table, and that's the time biggest mistakes happen. The lesson of what I call as professional entrepreneurship. There is an entrepreneur in every professional, and there should be a professional in every entrepreneur. And I would therefore encourage each of you, in whatever you are doing, keep in mind, mix and blend the concept of professionalism with entrepreneurship. And it's a very powerful mix. Think about your job from what is one, of course, you have learned a lot to be professional, to do things properly. But always, along with that, think about it that if you were the owner of that business, what would you do as right for the business in addition to what your professional approach would be? So combine this and mesh this together, and you'll get a very powerful success over a long period of time. Your biggest enemy is success. Because you're successful in your past and you believe you have done it, therefore you will be successful in the future. And I worry about success as my biggest enemy and constantly challenge myself that don't forget, don't live in the past. You're driving the car not out of a rear view mirror, but out of what is in front of you, the windshield. And this, friends, is an extremely important lesson which I, as an entrepreneur, have always kept in mind. Especially in today's times, creativity. You learn many things at business school. You have many ideas. You have many things which you carry from your history. Mix all that together and find out creative solutions outside the box. And dare to be different, because growth and opportunity are not a straight line. You must have the courage to stand up and say, I want to do it this way, however stupid it may look. And never worry about what others tell you. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask the question, I feel this is exciting, this is how I must do it. Go ahead and do it. And it is always better to be considered stupid and even be ready to fail, because the learning out of that creativity will significantly benefit you in the future. I very often tell my HR team and my business team that if you get an entrepreneur who has failed and wants to come back to the job market, that's the best person to get. And go out and hire such people, because their learning is more than anybody who's gone down the path of straight and narrow. Choose creative people who are bold enough to think differently, and that's what I genuinely care for. Kotak would not have been here in our history if we had gone down straight and narrow. I go back to our history, we were ready to be different at a time when the public sector banking was 97% of India's financial system. We got into an area which was bill discounting, a very simple area, and it was an area which private sector could legally and legitimately do. Nobody had thought about doing it in the private sector, not even as a bank. Everyone thought this is something which only banks can do. We went out. I had a friend whose father was a lawyer. I asked him, is there anything which stops us from doing bill discounting in the private sector? They said there is no law which stops you. In fact, the RBI reports encouraged development of the bill market. And we were ready to be creative and started this business in a very small manner 31 years ago, friends. And I'm happy to report back to you that little aperture of creativity has effectively created for us a company which was 3 people when I started to 46,000 employees today, and a return for shareholders and a return for shareholders, since most of you are business school graduates, of 40% per annum compounded for over 30 years. And I virtually did it straight out of business school. I was fortunate to take that risk. And I actually invited some of my friends to invest alongside with me. And some of them have still held on to the shares. It was small amounts of money. People who put in 1 lakh of rupees with our company in 1985. It's worth about 1,400 crores today. And that is because we were fortunate to take that little different call. Bill discounting, why should it be done only by banks? Why can't private sector do it? And we started with sizes of 1 lakh and 2 lakhs and 50,000 rupees, friends. And it has become the basis of where we are today. Therefore, dare to be different, test yourself, be creative, and the results can be phenomenal. A good institution, company, bank for the future must have 3 human qualities. First, a quality of prudence, particularly in the risk management business, and therefore no excess leverage. You must be able to withstand shocks and be able to sustain your business, therefore human quality of prudence. Second, a human quality of simplicity, and that too in your business as well. Because some of you may remember very complex financial instruments were being created then, called derivatives and exotic derivatives. And we genuinely believe that that is not good for customers. Customers want it simple, stupid. And anything which makes and keeps things simple, stupid is the way to go. And therefore the human quality of simplicity. And the third, friends, and something which I deeply believe in, is the quality of humility. As success comes to human beings, particularly what you saw in the financial sector, a lot of CEOs of global institutions began to believe that they are masters of the universe. They own the universe. And this is the big mistake. And therefore, I genuinely believe as entrepreneurs, as managers, as builders of businesses, we need to keep 3 important human qualities of prudence, simplicity, and humility in whatever we do. Our top leadership team of about 20 people who form the core of our firm, the average lifespan we've been together is over 20 years. And this has been one of the most important aspects of our growth. In fact, we worry about it because a lot of us retire again at the same time. So we are all in the age group of 3 to 4 years difference, and it's about 15 to 20 of us who are in a similar age profile. And we really do wonder what happens when all of us are at the retirement age. And one of the things which has worked for us is each of us is with a very strong concept of middle class values. It's about doing what is right from a middle class, common sense point of view. A culture which does not have, I would like to believe, any internal politics. It's an open culture with a clear view to doing what we believe is right. A great openness and an ability for each of us, and very often myself as well, to accept criticism. One of the things which we find as challenges in organizations is when the boss is less open to criticism. And that's something which we have tried to keep it open. An ability of a leader to say, this is what I think is right, and not hurt his career prospects is a very important part of a difference between professional management and leadership. We experimented a bit. In the early stages, we tried to hire senior leadership join into the firm at very senior levels. And frankly, we found that in our culture, there was a system where top leadership from outside found it difficult to have a long-term ability to hang on for more than 2 or 3 years. So we would import leadership from outside at the top and find that some of them would not last more than 2 or 3 years, while our core leadership, which was growing together, had a cultural bonding together. And that's when we took a very difficult call that we will hire from outside middle to senior middle management and not right at the top, and we will nurture them to grow to the top rather than getting people superimposed at the top. And that was a recognition of a cultural issue within our firm, which found it very difficult to import at the top. So there was one thing, and a recognition, you may call it a weakness or a strength, but a recognition that we are much better off hiring lateral talent at middle to senior middle rather than at the very top. So introspection of what works for a culture of a firm is important. Number two, you want expertise and quality, but you also want commitment and customer franchise. And we have always balanced these two. Especially in our business, where it is significantly customer facing, it's extremely important that the customer builds comfort with the faces and the relationships he or she sees. And you want them to be competent and qualified, but you also want them to be team players internally. Therefore, we took a call that the value of team play is extremely important in addition to competence. And therefore, we found in some situations brilliant people but unable to work as team members. And therefore, we said that it has to be both. It cannot be brilliance at the cost of team, and it cannot be team without at least a decent level. So taking that call that team is important is something which we took pretty early on. And one of the lessons we learned is one of the most dangerous things in a group across different verticals is verticals themselves. Because managers, professionals live, eat and breathe verticals. And how do you make sure that the cross-vertical functionality happens? And we actually have rewarded and progressed people who are able to do a good job not only in the vertical but also horizontally. And therefore, horizontal building out, especially as you go up the leadership curve, is as important as being outstanding in a vertical. Verticals are required because that's where you get focus and ownership. But ability to build one Godrej or a one Kotak across verticals is as important and must be rewarded in terms of how you treat the best of people. So this is some of the real life lessons, combination of expertise plus team, and an importance given to horizontal as well as vertical is what we did very early on. It is about the journey, not the destination. Moment you make any of your entrepreneurial decisions as a one-time outcome, you will find it a challenge. Think about your career, your profession, your work as a journey and not for a destination to be reached. And think about yourself being in a train which keeps on going forever. We as human beings may not be there forever, but the train and the journey must continue forever. And therefore, friends, I am a great believer that institutions must outlive any individual. Individuals will come and go, but what individuals do to build an institution which does not over time depend on those individuals is crucial for sustainability of any institution globally. And therefore, I genuinely believe it's about life, it's about a journey and not a destination.